Hi, today I'm going to teach you how to cut a quill. So, these are the tools we're going to use. A scalpel blade with a number 10 blade on it. A thicker blade. I'm using a Japanese carving knife, but you can really use any kind of thicker blade as long as it's sharp. A pin vise, or anything long and pointy that you can use to get out the guts of the quill, and a feather. Okay, so let's begin. The first cut is to just open up the quill. So here we have it. So this quill is, they usually curve this way. This is the back of the quill, and this is the underbelly of the quill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the back of the quill down, and using my Japanese carving knife, I'm going to cut diagonally towards the mat, like that. So here goes. So what you should have now is a diagonal cut of the quill. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the pin vise to take all this stuff out from inside. You don't need to get it really far, just enough so that we have some usable space here. Step 2, we're going to shape the quill nib. What I'm going to do is I'm holding the quill in one hand with my thumb, and with the other hand I'm holding the scalpel. I'm going to begin to lengthen this cut, pressing the scalpel blade with my thumb away from my body, just cutting off some slivers to lengthen that cut. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a second scoop on each side, going like this. So I'm taking my scalpel and I'm going very lightly in a scooping motion to create the side of the quill. Now I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to stop. There's a lot of this kind of grossness on the outside, so I'm just using my scalpel to scrape some of that away. Okay, so now I have a roughly pen-shaped quill, but I'm going to do another scoop on each side just to make the nib a little bit thinner. I'm just using my fingernails to get some of the outer layers off that are just being a little distracting. So now what I have is it has 2 scoops, 1 scoop, 2 scoops, and from the top you can see it has this sort of shape, looking a little bit more like a quill is going to look for writing. Cutting a groove. This is really important because it allows the ink to flow down the barrel of the quill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the quill down on my mat, holding it down, and the blade of this scalpel is rounded. So I'm going to put it down on the mat, and I'm going to roll it onto the quill in the center of the nib, like this. To get a groove that goes down the center. And now the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clean this up a little bit. Okay, there we have it. A groove which will allow the ink to flow from here all the way down the tip. Step 4, we're gonna finish the shaping and test the quill. So now I wanna thin out this part of the quill. It's currently at the thickness of the wall of that the feather originally was, and I'd like it a little bit thinner towards the tip. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it flat, and now I'm using my scalpel very gently, almost perpendicular to the table. And I'm just very lightly going to cut off some of the thickness in that tip. Like so. Now I have a pretty messy tip, and that is that part that actually touches the writing surface. So for right-handed, you want to cut it at a slight angle like this. This is exaggerated, so it's more like this, but it's at a diagonal like a forward slash. So I'm gonna use my scalpel and I'm just gonna go in and cut off the tip. And thin it out a bit more. That wasn't quite straight, so I'm gonna do that again. There we go. Now, the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut down the length of the quill, because this is a very long feather and it can be very distracting, and it can also stab you in the eye. So I'm just gonna use my Japanese carving knife to just cut into the quill. Ooh, ran away. And get rid of some of this fluff, just so it doesn't get in my way. And now it's time to test my quill. So here's some paper, and here's some ink. I'm gonna dip just the tip into the ink, and let's see how it writes. Looks pretty good to me. It's just running out of ink there, but the quill is sharp and good. So that's it, folks. If you have any questions, don't be a stranger. Thanks for joining me. Bye.